We really do have a lot to talk about here today. I mean, where do we even begin? I have so many questions. Does anyone else feel like there's quiet times in the Bravo world? And I don't know, in the past like 2 or 3 weeks, it might just be me, but I feel there's so much more going on. Well, we're about to get into it. Before we do, I just want to say, you are filling up my DMs because so many of you have actually been going to a psychicsource.com. It is $20. You can't even get a martini here in Los Angeles for $20. But so many of you, I'm hearing from so many of you, a lot of you are hearing from people from the other side. A lot of you are talking about your career advice, and a lot of you are talking about love. So, Psychic Source has everything. If you do want to try to connect with someone from the other side, career advice, love advice, life advice. I really fill my DMs up because I'm loving everyone's story. You go to psychicsource.com, you download, or you can download the app, but you go to psychicsource.com, enter code VELVET. You enter code VELVET and you will get a 35-minute reading for $20. And let me be very clear, because I'm not shy. If you get on and you don't like your reading, if you're 5 minutes in, 6 minutes in, 2 minutes in, you can stop it. It's a 35-minute bank. So most of you, I think, are just going to a psychic and you really are enjoying your reading. But if you don't like who you got, just stop it. If you do 3 minutes and it's 35 minutes, you have 32 minutes left. So I like trying all the psychics. Yes, we've had on Psychic Raquel, we've had on Psychic Leota, Psychic Robin, we've had on Psychic Pandora. A lot of the gentlemen that listen to me are telling me that there's a lot of cute boy psychics, which I checked them out. Yeah, I'm gonna get a couple readings with them. These psychics are all really good. So psychicsource.com, code Velvet, in 35 minutes. And if you can't figure out how to do all that, by the way, that's 57 cents a minute, which is so cheap. Just slip into my DMs. Let's get on with the show because I really do feel like there's more. I mean, Kenya, and oh my God, there's so much going on in Bravo World. So kick back, relax, and enjoy today's show. Back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined by the one, the only psychic, Raquel.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing, David? How's everything going?
What's going on? How are you today?
It's a beautiful day. Really can't complain. I guess I could, but I shouldn't.
It's
So,
a beautiful day. The Mercury in retrograde thing, I think, is
oh,
exiting, right? Like, are
thank
we?
goodness. Mercury went direct from what I understand. Yesterday was a little funky energetically, but I feel like we're starting to go back to solid ground again. Oh,
It's
it was
so
a long
fu- it's
one.
funny you say that. Yesterday was a little funky energetically. Yeah.
It was. It like started out really like everything was just one off weird, electronically, energetically, people. Like it just really, the energy was just a bit funks. And then by the afternoon, I think I really had to hypercorrect myself. So I feel like when we're in those periods of like funkiness, find something that brings you joy. Go on a walk. I took a walk. And then I did some kickboxing to really get out the extra energy. And then I was like, okay, I can do this, but I feel like we have to self manage our own energy during those dense periods, you know? So, whew, but today's better.
Today is better. Today I'm just busy, but today is definitely better. Okay, where should we start? There's two people I want to start with, and I could put out both of their names, and then we can either take them separately. They are connected. The first one is Teresa Giudice. Would you want me to do
Mm.
them one at a time or together? The story
Um,
is together, but you can do it separately if you'd like.
why don't we do them one at a time and then we'll just see how the force brings them together? Just because I do feel like, even though I feel like these two heavily lean on each other and like really rely on each other, they're still two very individualistic people. They're
Okay.
both like forces of nature. So let's just take her. What's like, oh, she's got there's a lot of murkiness in her, like, because there's a lot of clouded judgment in her. Um, so I feel like she's really trying to put up an air of like everything is fine. Please excuse the mess while we're doing construction. That's what I feel with her. Please excuse the mess while we're doing construction. But she's like deep in like I feel like she may financially owe some money, but she's like trying to really focus on her climb. So please excuse the mess as we're doing our refurbishments. But she's doing it very a lot with finesse, you know? So
Well, there's a lot of things there that resonate with me. What about, and then we can tie these two together because there's a lot more info that I am not
yeah, for sure.
giving you. What about this person's name is Louis Real? It's spelled Luis for whatever that's worth. Louis Realias.
Let's take a look at Louis. Here's the thing about, oh, okay. So Louis has been very focused on financial gain. I feel like they really do cherish each other and they lean against each other. Okay. I feel like Louis has been madly in love with her for a very long time. It feels like there is some type of agenda here, but like if we remove the agenda, he would be like starstruck by her. I feel like eyes wide open, mouth on the floor, like mad. He's very financially trying, like he's a financial climber. Like he's not afraid to jump into things and do things. He loves ideas and he has no problem being like, oh, that sounds like a small idea. Let's take a risk. Let's do that. You know, some of them have paid off massively and some have subtracted a lot. So I feel like things are a little unbalanced. Between the two of them, I do feel like there's like a very intense attraction. I don't know why I always feel like I don't know why they said fatal attraction. That's a weird thing to say, but like, no, there's just something about them that's just very like mutually like absorbed together. But they can be very at odds with each other
Well, I mean, if
sometimes.
you see a fatal attraction, you could say you see a fatal
I
attraction.
do. I was just like, that sounds so catty, but it just, that's what I heard immediately, like just a fatal attraction between the two of them, you know? But they're heavy people.
Well, they are heavy people. Do you feel, because you say he's like a little starstruck in love with her, do you feel that there is a reason I asked this? Do you feel that he was in love with her before he met her, or did he not know who she was before he met her? Like, is this a chance meeting? I mean, they've been together a while, but I mean, do you feel that
No,
you mentioned the word agenda, not
I
me.
did. I do feel like he knew who she was prior to them getting involved. I feel like I said, I feel that if they weren't together, he would have a poster of her on his wall. Maybe, you know, hidden picture, he'd be married to somebody else, but it wouldn't be as captivating. But he would be like, she is the dream girl. I do feel like he did know who she was. You know what I mean? So there was that like attraction that maybe was one sided going into it. And then he's just like, yeah, very, very starstruck
And
by
here
her.
they are. Well, they are married now. Now, you mentioned a lot of financial stuff. Yes, Louis is like an entrepreneur, and look,
Okay.
I don't know, I'm not in his life. There's a lot of business dealings, which people say, yeah, have set him back, but we don't know that for sure. Well, what we do know for sure is that he now owes $2.7 million in taxes to the
Ouch.
IRS, and she owes 300,000. So together, they owe $3 million to the IRS. Do you get any sense of, look, like you can owe, like, if you're a really busy businessman, you might get a thing like, oh, you underpaid by $70,000. That's not so abnormal. Like, do you get, like, was this purposeful? I mean, we could get to a tax amount that we owe just by, not paying attention or a bad accountant or bad things. We thought we could deduct something, or do you? But there's also like, let's keep this money on purpose. Like, do you get any sense of how we got here?
Mismanaged business, mismanaged income is what I'm hearing because I feel like both of them are a little hands off when it comes to this stuff. You know what I mean? And then things weren't reported properly. I feel like this was happenstance, accidental. I don't feel like they were trying to do any type of tax evasion. I do know he is very money focused. So I feel like he would have prioritized things. But I do feel like it was like we'd get a discount here, or we get a write off here, or we can potentially do this, take this loss. And, so it was just mismanaged by business. And because there's so many different track records of so much different business, I do feel like this might be somebody who works for him error. Not to throw anybody under the bus, but I feel like this was employee error. I feel like somebody who's employed by him made a error. Was that intentional? Possibly. I feel like somebody's, you know what I mean? Like put more
Mhm.
money back in the kitty after they realized their hand was about to get slapped.
Right, like either they were taking it for themselves, or do you see any, I mean, just you're bringing up this point, or because my mind goes to, or is it someone that works for him trying to sabotage him and set him up for a downfall? Like sometimes we have snakes in our own camp.
I feel like that could be exactly what it is because, like I said, I feel like once they almost got caught, they put the money back in the kitty. You know what I mean? So, and
Yeah.
then once this all came out, everyone's like, oh my God, I don't know what happens. Like, what do we do here? And logically speaking, I definitely do feel like it was set up to be exposed, you know? But this is gonna be something that's divided and conquered. I don't see this hitting them in a bad area, even though obviously it does not do well. You know, that's a lot of money. The IRS is going to be like, we need it. But I feel like they're going to be able to divide and conquer and like get this taken care of. Her money that she owes in the grand scheme of things, of the money that they have is minimal. Not saying that $300,000 is minimal, but in their lives, this is something they can like budget and get taken care of in the next 2 years. And then I feel like people heads are going to roll. That's going to be very private, but nothing is ever private, and it'll hit page 6. You know what I mean? Like it's going to happen.
Like,
So
right, they're going to take care of their financial stuff first and then start looking at how did we get here and who's kind of not to be trusted.
heads will roll. I literally just saw a vision of like the chopping block. You know what I mean? Like
Really.
very, very Tudor, like heads will roll. So
Teresa has a lawyer that she's really closely in bed with who does a lot of things. Maybe it's him whose head will roll. I don't know.
probably because I do feel like their whole team is going to it's interesting because the team is going to multiply. So more people are going to come involved and then they're going to divide it. And then it's going to be the same amount of people that are there now, but they're different people. So basically they're going to hire and then dismember the parts that are infected. It's
Interesting.
a pretty big investigation that is gonna be something done with, like, private investigations, like forensic accountants and things like that, that they're taking this very seriously. I feel like because Luis is such a business person and doesn't want to damage her because once again, he is starstruck. So her publicity is everything. She will not be seen in a bad light. She will always shine like a diamond in his eyes, so he wants everyone else to see her as the diamond that he possesses, right? So he's going to make sure that this is all taken care of. She's not going to be scathed.
Interesting. And you see this now, this has nothing to do with it. She had another husband. It's a long story. She went to jail. The other husband got deported. They were up to some things. It has nothing to do with this case. But, you see this working out. Like you don't see this, like people are saying crazy things like jail, you're going to lose your home. Like, look, it could go a lot of different ways, right? When you have $3 million or you see this no, that
They're
they'll work this out.
they'll work it out. They'll divide and conquer it. I feel like the difference is now is that since he's already like revered her so much, like he will do what he needs to take care of to get this taken care of, so they don't lose a home, that they don't lose. You know what I mean? Also, he's more worried about public judgment than anything else on her. Okay. Remember Fatal Attraction? He'll throw himself on the tracks for this woman. He is madly. I know that she loves him. I keep saying how much he loves her. I know that she actually really adores being adored. And I feel like she does have a very strong attraction to him. They are very chemistry driven, economically driven. They both have the same kind of coursework. So I feel like this doesn't like this won't cause divorce. This won't cause, you know what I mean? What happened before was a lot of manipulation, a lot of fakeness involved. Like I just see like people wearing masks that aren't themselves. And that unfortunately was a lot of failure. She really, really was taken by him, but she was also drowned by him, you know? And
Interesting.
she just kind of wants to like bury that past. Like it didn't happen. I'm fine now. Everything's good. It did damage her self-esteem tremendously. Besides her reputation, self-esteem was everything. So, oof.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of things you said ring true. Like, she does love being adored. She is in love with him. That's good to know that he really also loves her, idolizes her, whatever. I don't know if she really cares if there's a difference because I think she feels good about that. You don't see a divorce. Are they publicly, a lot of the things you said are true? Like, everything's okay if you ask them, if you ask their children, everything's okay. That is the narrative that's being put out there, which I do think they care about the most rather than what's actually going on. Are they worried though? I mean, it seems like once they hear this, they may not be, but like, are they worried? I mean, if I owed $3 million, I'd be, or whatever,
Oh, well,
you
yeah.
could, you
I
know,
feel like they're more worried about not so much of the financial train wreck. Okay, train crashed. Okay, cool. Um,
crashed.
what were the factors that went into the accident? What was the faulty mechanic? Did they not check this? They're going to go down the checklist and find out who caused the accident. That's what they're more concerned with than the money itself. Because, like I said, I feel like they'll be able to pull themselves up, but they're bootstrap people. They're not going to be a problem. It's more, let's find out who caused it, take care of that problem so this does not happen again. They don't want to be repeat offenders. They don't want this to go through again. Yes, it's stressful to get that call and be like, you know what I mean? And I feel like it caused a lot of anxiety, but it also caused a lot of quick thinking of what do we need to do to get this down? And they're both boots on the ground people. They're like, okay, let's figure this out. You know, kids are fine. Family life is fine. This is just something that's very compartmentalized into what do we need to allocate?
That makes
They
sense.
They both just zoomed in on it, you know?
What about, so there is a show, Real Housewives of New Jersey. She
Mhm,
is on it. It's not on
mhm.
right now. It's on pause. It's taking a year off or maybe more. There's a lot of schools of thought, like, well, whether she would come back or not. The show probably is going to come back at some point. I don't know. Do you, and this, people have their own opinions on this. Some people say, well, this is great. This actually makes you like have another season on the show because look at all you have going on. A lot of people are like, we already went through this on the show with you, and this is actually too toxic, and we want nothing to do with this. These shows are supposed to be aspirational. Like, so we could argue all day what people think. Like, what do you see for like her future on the show, which is not on right now? It probably won't be on for a year.
Probably springtime of next year. She's gonna walk proudly into through those doors like, "I'm a made person. Look what I did." And I just don't see her walking in like, "Oh my god, I went through this again." I see her, like, slamming 2 doors open and walking in looking like $3,000,000. You know what I mean? Like, she's
Yeah.
not no, she's not gone. I feel like because of this, of course, they're gonna be like, "Oh, we don't want this again." No, they're gonna wanna she's gonna make it. She's gonna sell it. She's not like I said, she doesn't go down laying down. She'll be back on there, but I just see her slamming 2 doors open and being like, "Look who's arrived. I'm here. Let's do this," and she looks amazing. So, that's what I
Wow.
feel. So, I don't see her gone at all from the show. I see her making, like, a remarkable come in, and then also she'll also have some other things that are going on in a very positive way to start to, like, start the climb. Like I said, everything is about
Wow.
restorative, you know? But I feel like whatever
Interesting.
she needs to show the producers or whatever she needs to do, I just see her coming in. Is it gonna surprise people that are on the show? Absolutely. Is it gonna surprise people who are no longer on the show? Absolutely. Is it gonna surprise viewers? Probably not. Not because of this, but because of, just in general. They'll be like, "Okay, of course she's back." You know what I mean? And they'll grab the popcorn and they'll enjoy and ratings will be fantastic.
Very interesting. Yeah, I go back and forth every day, so that's good to hear
Mhm.
that you think that. Moving on, there is a woman named Kenya Moore. What are your thoughts on her?
She's trying to start over. So much heartbreak, devastation. I feel like I look at myself in the mirror with her, which by the way, I just see this beautiful woman, but she's like, "You're gonna be fine. you're going to be okay. You know what I mean? The morning pep talk. But by the evening, I feel a lot of like navigation with her. She's, I mean, if you ask her how she's doing, she'd probably smile and nod. You know what I mean? But I feel like if she called me and I'd be like, hey, how are you doing today? Like I ask everybody, she'd be like, I'm okay. And I would tell her straight up, you don't need to be okay to call me. It's totally fine. Like most people that call me aren't doing great, and that's great. But that's where she is. She's in the, I feel a lot of anxiety with her. I feel a lot of heartache with her. And I feel like I'm trying to regain stability. What's going on here? Because she's like, all I pick up with her is like anxiety and self motivation, anxiety, self motivation. It's very unbalanced with her throughout the day, you know? But this anxiety will take me down. Like, oh my gosh. Oof. So she's intense. Oh,
She is going through a lot. To your point, she is in a kind of starting over phase, so that kind of
mhm.
resonates with me. She was on a show forever, and it's a long story. This one woman came and said some things and mentioned, like, I'll give you the top line version. She
Aw.
mentioned like guns and pistols and whips. And so she basically threatened Kenya in so many words, but basically, Kenya then in a different episode or the weeks later took some pictures of her on the internet that were sexual in nature and exposed them to everyone. So basically, putting all that in the back of your mind, Kenya was fired from her job. Lots of people have lots of thoughts on this. Some people think the woman that did the initial threatening was wrong, even though then she apologized. A lot of people like she shouldn't have been fired, but she is fired. So maybe that is the self doubt that you refer of. Like she
Mhm.
is off a show which she was on for a long time, and the salary on for her was probably really good. I mean, it was really good.
Oh yeah. No, the financial regret of this is huge. So now what does she do next? You know what I mean? I don't feel like she has like the financial regret is there. Is there active regret for what she did? I don't really feel like there is. I feel like she would probably do it again. Like if we had to go back and relive the whole scenario, uh she went in for the kill and she tackled her pretty intensely. You know, everyone's gonna have a different opinion whether it was okay for her what she did or not. Not the part of this program, but from what I'm picking up from her, is the only thing she regrets is losing the job. You know?
Yeah, that's
That's
it.
so she's just like all the anxiety of now is how to like, okay, so where do we go from here? What's next? You're gonna be fine. But then by the end of the day, when nothing's moved, she's super anxious about everything that's happened. Um, did she think that this was gonna cost her her job? She wasn't thinking. But once again, she doesn't have any regret on it. So I just feel like she doesn't feel like a fool, you know? I feel like she felt like she was justified in the whole thing, even though she's being very much so vilified for what she did. You know, this other woman, is she not being vilified like she was? Is she more like now the victim of things because she feels like smirky, you know, but still walking tall? Like, did she really care about her pictures being taken put out there? No. She also doesn't care. She's just happy that, you know, that in her mind she's like, I won. So if we're looking at two women who are very pitted against each other, and yes, are not, they don't like each other at all. Never really did, you know? Um, that's kind of the big thing. I just feel like Kenya is the one that lost that, whatever that battle was, but the war is brewing. We have not heard the end of these two. Okay.
Ye- Yeah, the other woman is vilified a little bit but it's not really. I mean, I think this was her first season. So she basically came in
Okay.
and got rid of an OG, so to speak. And
Okay.
yes, I say this all the time. I've said it many times, I guess, in the past. Like if Kenya just went to HR and said, here is mentioning of guns and pistols and whips, I think the exact opposite would have taken place, and she probably would have a job, and the other woman possibly wouldn't.
Well, that would have been the very carefully crafted, smart mentality of doing things, and probably what something her PR person would have told her to do in the first place. But she was like, no, I'm going to take her down. And I feel like it was mostly represented by a lot of other hardships that she's going through in her existence anyway. And this was the F it mode where she was like, F that. I'm not going to be trampled on. And she went in for the kill. So I feel like she was advised to do exactly that because that's what we're advised to do anyway, is go to HR when we feel that certain way. Um, but she didn't think it was going to resolve anything. You know, I don't even think there was an email typed. You know what I mean? I feel like she just went for it and she did it. But I feel like I said, I feel like it was more last straw-ish. Like this was camel's back, you know? So
And you don't like, you don't feel any regrets as far as like regret for the job loss of the job.
a
Like I
job
just
loss,
cost
yeah.
myself $1 million or whatever.
Yeah. But within reason, no. I
She would do it all over again.
I would do it again. No problem. I will do it again. I'm not letting people stomp on me, you know? So she was like, this epic takedown was going to be a takedown. She did it with intention and without regret. She did not think she'd get fired. So
That
hindsight, not smart, but regret towards this other person? Nope, none.
no regrets. She would do it
No,
again.
no. Yeah.
Do you have anything, because you mentioned her life, like do you
Mhm,
feel like is she dating now? Like, yeah, I mean, she has businesses, but nothing is the same as like $1 million check from, a network
mhm,
for a few months of work. You have even if your other businesses are successful, you have those regardless. So it's kind of like you
mhm.
would have had them whether you're on the show or not. It's still a loss of a huge check. Does she dating like other than this worry where she's confident and then not confident during the day? Like, what's the rest of her life like?
Let's see what's going on. Now these
Okay.
cards fell out, so I want to see. Okay, so she is looking for an opportunity, you know, but she definitely has very high sights on what she's doing. You know what I mean? I feel like she's resolved to not let anything step in her way as for what she did and for how she acts, as the way that she holds herself to. She has very high demands, and I do feel like she is actively looking, actively dating someone, and like potentially here and there, but nothing that I feel like has stuck. She's got very, very high sights. Okay. Not so much with like just like money and power and things like that. When I say like high sights, she wants like civility. She wants someone to be able to that she can go out in public with. You know what I mean? Obviously, money is money. It's definitely a prerequisite, but I feel like she's looking for someone very classy, class act, very old school, opens the doors type of deal, respect, you know, and she's not taking anything other. You know what I mean? You don't return a phone call, you're blocked. You don't return a text message, you're blocked. Communication, very key, especially if she's bringing these people around the people that she loves. She's more self-aware of what she wants. So when we say dating, she's not just going to fall in bed with any John. Like this is going to be like this person has to check 90 of the boxes out of 91. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel with her. She's very high standard right now. She's definitely looking, you know, but she's really trying not to let the heart what it wants. She's trying to be very diplomatic with us, very business with this next relationship, you know, but
Right. Like she wants them
I
to be a certain way successful.
successful. She's very cynical right now, so I feel heartbroken with her. I don't feel like she's ready to date. Can I just put that out there? Because
Yeah.
people who aren't ready to date have a checklist that's ironclad, right? I,
Yeah.
I feel like that's, maybe that's a note for everybody out there. If you're, I feel like it's amazing for us to have a checklist, but if ours is like ironclad and we're like, we're not making any type of moves, it's because we're trying to protect ourselves so much from pain. So that's what I'm picking up from this because everything I was picking up was like this like ironclad tightness. And it's like, this comes out of heartbreak. This is a person who's not ready to move on yet.
I
So
would agree with that. If your checklist is so rigid, it's there for a reason because you know that no one's going to meet this standards and therefore you really truly don't want to date because yes, you're probably scared of getting hurt and What a great way to protect yourself from getting hurt than just to not be bothered at all.
Exactly. So if a person comes in and you're able to just say next immediately without even having this person open their mouths, you know what I mean? Then okay, you're truly not ready. And you're kind of, but I feel like it's a great way for your mind to, I guess, gaslight yourself into being like, I need time for healing. And some people don't like the idea of healing because it's painful. And we've talked about before, it takes a long time. And maybe this keeps us out of a place of judgment if we're just like, this is my rigid standards, you know what I mean? And being self-aware about those rigid standards. And I feel like maybe that's actually a pretty safe practice, you know? She'll loosen up a little bit as she gets through things.
That's good to know. Our final, yeah. Do you have anything else
Yeah,
to
let's
say?
go.
Oh,
No,
sorry, I
no,
didn't
let's
mean
go.
to.
I'm ready for next. Let's do it. Talk about it next. Let's
This
go.
will be our final person, but so her name is Erika Jayne.
Uh-huh.
What do
Whew.
you feel?
Erika Jayne is angry about something. I feel livid. I feel angry. Okay. Erica is Erica likes to be provided for. Okay. Um, But right now, things are kind of heading in a south way, and she is angry. I feel like someone pissed off Pele, like pissed off Lava Flow with her. So I feel like she's highly intelligent. She's a very disciplined person. She's very precise on things. And right now, everything is not in that area. And I feel like someone took like razors and sliced her back open. Like I feel backstabbed and I am furious. Somebody unleash the beast because you don't release a beast on someone this motivated with an agenda. So yeah. Anyway, what's going on here? Whew, fire.
Well, Erica, she was married to someone, first of all, for a very long time, a very famous lawyer, and he was quite a bit older. Like, basically, she was a trophy wife. He met her when she was like a cocktail waitress in a
Okay, got
bar
it.
way back. He had a lot of money. It turns out, I mean, he was a very well-known lawyer here in
Mhm.
LA. It turns out that basically he was stealing from his clients to fund his and her lifestyle. So this is kind of her backstory, which pisses her off enough because she basically
Yeah.
lost all of that. He is 80 years old, probably will never see the light of day again. You know, he's guilty, he's sentenced, he's going to be
Yeah.
sentenced, all that. So that's kind of in her past. It happened not 10 years ago, probably like 3 years ago.
Oh.
So some things are resurfacing in that, there's a lot of talk of whether she was in on that or not. We'll get to in a second. But, there are some things where it was really bad for her when all this was happening because people were coming at her. It's kind of dissipated, but, it's residual lawsuits, which are now coming out. She may have nothing to worry about. So I guess but to your point, they're rearing their ugly heads again now. So it's kind of like she had it really bad in the last year or two, like in the public eye, were good, and that these things weren't really happening. His life was full. I mean, not together anymore. They haven't spoken since. He's not even competent. But some things are coming out against her. There's like residual lawsuits, like it's not over. I mean, maybe
Mhm.
that's why she's pissed off of kind of like, I'm dealing with this again after 3 fucking years.
Yeah, she is like I said, she loves being taken care of. So that makes sense that she was young and like this guy came in, lots of money. I feel like there was a lot of turn blind eye by her. She's smart. She knew what was going on. You know what I mean? But she was being taken care of. You know what I mean? So you do your due diligence and do the things. When everything came out, now it feels like I said, there's all these razor blades in her back. So it's not just like one giant backstab. I do feel like she was very angry at him for not covering tracks on things and also for including her in the violation of things. She's like, I didn't do any of this stuff. I was, you know, but now with all those tiny little razor blades coming back at her again, she is like up to defense. And her agenda is to come out and be like, hey, I am not in this. Like, but I'm done fighting this, but I'm not, you know what I mean? You're not going to get anything out of me. Not anymore. She'll be fine. She'll climb her way back up on things. You know what I mean? I feel like she's really, like I said, she's got an agenda. She'll revamp it. She'll rechange it. But these razor blades in her back, man, she is not like she is fury. Okay. Smart, intelligent. I can't see that she had no idea about what was going on, you know, but she didn't want her name on any of it. So now that it's coming after her, you know, and I gotta tell you, there probably wasn't even any love in this marriage ever. You know what I mean? I feel like he was just kind of a shade umbrella to her. You know what I mean? So now she's like, what does she want? Does she want comfort or does she want love? That's her own now, like sword blade, you know? But she's tired of people coming after her because she's really tired of having to pick herself back up again. She's like, just stop. So she's angry. She's furious, you know? So when it comes down to all these people coming after her, when it comes down to her financial obligations, she is, as much as she doesn't want to have to give anything else, she's gonna have to forfeit. She's gonna have to give. You know what I mean? It's not, they're going to come after her for whatever they can. Is there a cap on what they can get from her? Absolutely. You know, but she doesn't like the reputation, you know, but she's so close to just like ripping her own heart out and putting it out so she doesn't feel anything. Because I feel like the neglect of people or like her being looked down on is incredibly like painful to see people turn their eye to her in a different way or like you know what I mean? Like she doesn't like the scathing looks. She doesn't like being vilified. She doesn't like that. She was supposed to be the princess. She was supposed to be, you know, on the float going by waving nicely. You know what I mean? And now she's got like she's clawing herself down the street with razor blades in her back. It's kind of a weird Halloween thing.
Right. Like she certainly didn't plan this. You
No.
feel she knew without knowing, like she knew something was up.
She's smart. It was obvious. I think Phil potentially she knew there might have been some things going on. To the scale of it, not at all. Okay. So when it first came out, it felt like he backstabbed her, you know? And then all the little razor blades are everybody else coming after her and cutting pieces of her. You know, it's retaliatory, which is understandable. They lost a lot of money, but
It's
not okay. But it's all crap.
it's all crap. And yeah, I mean, if you feel someone lied to you, if you knew but you didn't know the extent of it, yeah, you also, I mean, I don't know how you trust after that personally, like how you ever date again. I don't know.
Like I
So
said, she's going between does she want love or does she want protection? Does she want another umbrella? You know? I honestly felt like she always dreamed of love. I feel like she has that fairy tale idea of it, you know? But does love keep you comfortable? Maybe not, you know? And after all of this, you know, she also likes public eye. She likes being seen. I feel like she wants to come out again and be seen. I don't see her buying a ranch somewhere in Montana and like disappearing. Like that's not what it's going to be. She still wants to be seen, you know? She'll take this anger and this hate and turn it into something different. She'll try to make it magic. She's smart. She's cunning. She's got an agenda. And I feel like she's going to focus on love with a purpose, you know? But love with
what does love with a purpose
love with a
mean?
purpose is love with comfort. Basically being like, maybe I can love somebody who's got money.
Well,
So
similar to the person that she just loved. As
exactly. Well, exactly.
a quote unquote air quotes for the word love.
This person she relied on,
Yeah, I
you
can't
know.
really see her settling down with someone that doesn't have money, but what do I know?
Well, I don't see her settling for anybody that won't love her. You know what I mean? Like she wants real love, but she wants love and comfort. So it doesn't mean that she's going after like a gazillionaire or something like that. You know what I mean? Someone who's got a wealthy businessman, somebody that can take her out and you know what I mean? And also come home and give her that love so she can like purr like a kitten on their lap. You know what I mean? But also be out public and be like, look, I'm your wife. Be proud of me. Because she's so used to the trophy effect, you know. But maybe somebody can actually love her for being the like being who she is as opposed to putting her on a shelf. I feel like she doesn't want to be on the shelf anymore. She did that for a long time. You know, she got a lot out of it, but then when everything came down, was it worth it? You know, that's
Right.
probably part of the flames,
She
you
was
know.
left with some stuff, but really not much. I mean, she had to leave her
No.
house and start over, and She is on this show, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but there are, do you have any feelings about her returning to the show? I mean, the show is over basically for this
Yeah.
season. It's coming, but there's cast changes every season, and there's rumors out there either way. But
Um, she's more of a mid-season return. You know what I mean? Like she's either gonna be in for another half season and then depart, or she'll turn in mid-season. I'm only seeing half a season for next year, you know, but then I feel like she'll be back with this like full part in or whatever, back as a full-on cast person.
after next
But I,
season,
yeah, but I'm not sure if I just keep hearing mid-season, so I'm not sure if she is excused halfway through it or if she comes in halfway through it. It's a mid-season departure or arrival, but I just see the mid-season. I only see half a season with her in it. But
interesting,
then after that, I feel fully resumed. Billboards are just
interesting.
you know?
Things have
So,
happened. I mean, we've had situations where we start a season and it's not going well, and we need to bring in someone like Erica. Or we have situations like Kenya, who we just talked about, who start the season and something happens and then they're escorted out in the middle of a season. So
oof, yeah, no, that's rough. But
you
yeah,
see
I feel like
mid-season.
I see mid-season. Um, and I can't pin down if it's start or end, but they keep saying it's mid-season, start mid-season. So I feel like maybe that's probably after the legal troubles and her just kind of getting herself back up again and you know what I mean? And then coming in and then her just trying to be fabulous again. Like, hi, I want to be seen in a good light. If she starts the season, I mean, it's like being thrown Rotten Tomatoes at you, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's weird. I don't know. Something feels weird about it. So
Do you foresee someone that she would date? Like, is that on the horizon? Do you see it in 2025 or not necessarily this year?
I feel like later this year, more towards fall. Okay. And I feel athletic.
Huh.
So maybe some type of athlete of some kind. Because I'm looking at business, I'm looking at this, but what really stood out to me was some type of like athlete, something like a football player, something like that, you know,
Interesting.
or ex-football player, somebody who would have played football or basketball. One of those. It's not hockey or soccer. It's definitely like one of
Interesting.
those two sports. They feel really big, like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". Like they just seem very statuesque type person. So yeah.
I could see this. I mean, look, maybe she'll meet someone age appropriate or semi-age appropriate that just has a shitload of money. I mean, that does
Well, I mean,
exist.
there it is. I mean, an athlete would be age appropriate and
Hmm.
have a shit ton of money.
Hmm.
It just makes sense.
Like an ex-athlete that retired and doesn't need to work anymore would be.
Exactly. That's kind of what it is, but they still like the limelight. So her being brought back onto Real Housewives would make perfect sense because not only would it be her rise, it would be his too as well. So we're looking at an opportunist, someone who wasn't. So I feel like, yeah, retired athlete is what I would go with.
Huh.
Somebody who's got the money but wants more and wants the attention. So
Well, she could give him that and he can give her money. It would be a match made in heaven.
it's perfect. I feel like, and also I feel like they can love each other too. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So it's not just full opportunistic. It could be a love match and just happens to be in what she needs and what he wants. You know what I
The
mean?
two are not always mutually exclusive, right?
No, not at all.
Well, look, as we wrap up, it's not like I had a theme to this show, but it turned out to be a theme. I mean, the one thing, like, I didn't want to lead you in the beginning, but like Teresa, Erica, and Kenya are all survivors. They're all scrappy and they all do seem to have a way to figure it out. With their
Yes.
pain and hurt, they do rise. And there are three kind of like alpha females.
Oh, absolutely. So this is like the Three Phoenix episode then. You know
Which
what I
I
mean?
mean, I didn't plan it that way, but now that I've gotten these vibes and readings from you, I mean, it doesn't shock me. It's just kind of like putting in perspective. Like, I actually picked three strong women, which wasn't really my plan for this episode. It just kind of, we ended up there. Psychic
I love it.
Raquel,
I love good female rage that's turned into something positive, you know?
which is the strongest and which is more and most likely to do something to survive. I mean, we could argue that all day. I mean, I've got my own thoughts, but they've all been through a lot. Erica,
Yeah,
Teresa was in jail.
my heart goes out to each one of them because they are all very fierce. You know what I mean? I don't feel like they wanted any of these problems, you know? And I just really hope that they're able to take that energy with them and turn it into positive. And I feel like that's something that was also the theme between all of them. We can say that's all about the Phoenix rising, right? But all of them are trying to come back in a very strong manner to be like, look what I did, and in a positive force to come in being beautiful, glamorous, seen as somebody strong and positive. So I feel like we can look at this as being like the rise from the Phoenix, going through the fire, but also coming out strong and on top again. And I feel like each one of these women is so capable of being able to do that. So
I love it. Well, listen, you're going to be back. Everyone needs to go to Psychic Source and download the app, or you can just go to the Psychic Source website. And it is just enter code VELVET, pay $20, and you get a reading 35 minutes for $20, which, if you're doing the math, is 57 cents a minute, which you can't beat that.
that's a steal. That is
It's
a
a
really, really
steal.
great deal.
Right?
So,
I mean, listen, like I said, I'd like a reading every single day. It's Code
yeah.
Velvet, Psychic Source. You can go to the website, just enter Code Velvet. If anyone has trouble figuring this out, just DM me. I will walk you through it. And you can have a reading with any of the great psychics, or you can request Psychic Raquel. And 35 minutes for $20. Yeah, that is a great deal. And you will be back here very soon. Thank you for this reading.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure and such a
I
joy.
I could talk to you for hours, so I appreciate it. Enjoy this great day out there in LA.
You too. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.